Hi guys, thank you for joining today's session. Today's presenter will be Adimola and Kevin Womandi. Kevin Womandi, over to you. You can start presenting.
Thank you very much, Harry. Welcome, guys, to this presentation today. My name is Kevin Olwach. I'm a Dell EMC pre-sales for Redington. As you can see there, I've already given you out um, my email address in case you guys know more about this solution that I'm going to talk about. And also, inclusive, I've added also my mobile number. So, hope you guys. It's almost now in Kenya 4 months since this COVID-19 thing started. I want to say good morning to the West Africa team because I know you guys are 2 hours behind us, and also good afternoon to East Africa team. So today we are going to talk about the Dell EMC. One we're going to look at is the Vxrail. Considering this is a product that has been there quite some time. We started with the Vspecs Blue, if many of you could recall. And then after Vspecs Blue, with technology, every time things keep on changing. So we moved from Vspecs Blue and started the Vxrail. And by then, Vxrail was still using some of not mention most of the servers, but after a while, we changed to the Power Edge servers with the Dell EMC collaboration. And right now, we have the new launch Vxrail servers. So even though if you look at the definition where we are talking about hyper converge, so this is hyper, some reactive and fast, and then converge is definitely means to come together. So we are looking at a technology that is very destructive to the business most of organizations are looking at. Just for instance, because I'm just giving you a history. Like for example, I wish to relate hyperconverge to what the mobile technology is doing to us. Now, remember the old days, the people who were born in the 80s or the people who were born in the 70s, or guys who also went to the 90s. Before you used to have a digital a camera, a camera person who was used to come to your places or come to so that whereby people used to be writing letters and posting to the postal offices. And then there also used to be television set, whereby if you wish to watch news, you'll have to reach home, either connect using the DVR or you use the TV presentation, whereby that's the only form of where you could get communication from. And then at the same time, you use phones, whereby if you could recall, some of them is whereby some offices used to have them, whereby you'll dial the number and give a call. But now the mobile technology came, all those things about, all of them can be accessed from a touch of a dial. So when you talk about the television set, you could have using YouTube or checking videos from your phone itself. When you're talking about taking photos, you can have even much better photos by using the phone itself. If we're talking about writing letters and sending them on postal by post, you can actually do emails digitally and also send using your phone. So this is the kind of disruption that hyperconverge is bringing to the market. So depending on the market, hyperconverge has a huge market that you can be able to bring in so that you can get most of your partners can be able to gain from it. Now, going back, so there's some key pillars that are objective to be able to most of these customers to be able to achieve a business transformation. So one, they're talking about digital transformation. Now, considering the kind of application that nowadays people are running. For example, if you look at most of our banks, remember, before we used to have queuing services whereby somebody will go to the bank to be able to check his statement. Somebody had to go to the bank to be able to check the balances or check how much money, if he wants to do some transfer of cash, he was required to go to queue on the line and be able to do that. But with this digital transformation, whereby nowadays applications are more cloud oriented. Now, there's no need of you go to the bank. People can do all this at the comfort of their home. For example, if you need to do any transaction using your mobile to the bank, you can actually just go ahead, download the application from the cloud, to do all your transactions. Considering right now you're looking at cloud-oriented application. IT transformation is basically changing your infrastructure to be able to support digital transformation, which we are talking about applications that are cloud oriented. So these are very key things, and they're very much for somebody to have that approach of digital transformation. Another key thing that they also need to consider during this conversion is also IT transformation, and those are some of the Dell EMC pillars when it comes to transforming most of the businesses for customers. Now, we have talked about now IT transformation, whereby now you already have an infrastructure that can be able to support most of these applications. Now, looking at now, this is a more cloud-oriented solution. It's also linked to now you're putting this solution to the users. Now, when you put it out to the users, we also need to transform the users that are going to use the application. So this users need to have at least modern devices that can be able to download these applications so that they can be able to use. And that's the process whereby we are talking about workforce transformation. So even with this COVID-19, you realize, like right now, as you can see, we have different regions, all of us coming together so that you can be able to listen to this presentation. So you get the West Africa team being able to access this presentation and be able to listen to what I'm talking about. We have also the East Africa team also accessing this same information so that you can have this presentation. While me over here, I'm also in a location whereby I'm able to give out this presentation. So that's what we call workforce transformation. So basically, enabling your users to be able to access this kind of features from their comfort of their home. Now, putting all these things together, we're talking about the digital transformation, IT transformation, and workforce transformation. Another key thing that since this thing is now open to everyone so that they can be able to easily access the system, another key factor is security. So security is not a one-time thing. This is continuous, because having different levels of security enables you to most customers to be able to secure their environment, and that's why now we are talking about security transformation. So these are the four pillars when it comes to business transformation, and those are the digital transformation, whereby you're having the cloud-oriented application, the IT transformation, whereby we're talking about having an infrastructure to be able to support the new digital platform that you're having in your data center, and then there's the workforce transformation, enabling most of your users to be able to access the application that's being made through the digital transformation, and then lastly, security. Now, okay, I am hearing some echo backward. Kindly please mute your microphone. Uh, kindly mute your microphone. Uh, Harry, Harry.
Yes, Kevin.
Okay, let's just. Can you please? Are you able to mute everyone on the call?
Yes, I have muted everyone.
I'm hearing some background noise on the presentation, so I don't know if I'm audible enough. Oh, it's okay now. Now, that there are four things that now advancing to this digital transformation. Remember, I told you digital transformation is whereby now guys are adopting the cloud-oriented applications. So, reason why the four key reasons why Dell EMC is looking at by this advancing this digital transformation, you're looking at reducing complexity. So most of these systems use it quite easily. And then another thing that's also advancing digital transformation based on the infrastructure is optimized resources. So you look like most of these applications, the kind of platform that they run using the hyperconverged technology, they don't utilize most of the resources because some of the features that this infrastructure that comes with are optimized. It provides application requires. And then another key thing is managing risk. So we're talking about edges whereby people used to, when doing implementation or trying to develop an application, they'll go use. There's also manual intervention whereby it's risky in terms of some downtimes that might occur. In terms of the infrastructure, when you're trying to create an application, you have to go purchase an infrastructure and manually configure it on your data center. But with the hyperconverged technology and the advantages, advanced digital transformation, everything comes already built and tested. And this one reduces the manual intervention whereby you need to configure most of these solutions. So this one are set up reducing cases of having unplanned downtimes, and that's reducing the breaches in terms of the security. So four things that advancing digital transformation that we are talking about is the innovating faster, reducing complexity, optimizing resources, and managing risk. Talking about that, we have Dell EMC data center pillars. So we're talking about data and software. All these are the key pillars when we are looking at either converged solution or hyper-converged solution. Now, to be able to achieve that, you need an IT transformation. When I'm talking about IT transformation, we are talking about the underlying infrastructure that will be able to support that. And this underlying infrastructure should be able to have the below. Now, one, they must be faster. What I mean by faster, they're supposed to be able to support the new technology whereby the solution is able to support SSD drives to be able to perform much faster. They also have to be simpler. So what about talking about the simpler? They're supposed to be easily managed. We're talking about they have a cloud application that are managing the system, that there's less manual intervention when it comes to this infrastructure management. They also have to be more agile. What I mean by that, they can be able to support different applications at using the same infrastructure platform, and then also be more efficient. What do I mean by that? So we are talking about an infrastructure whereby it's so optimized such that in terms of the usable capacity that is giving, it can be able to offer more efficiency when it comes to infrastructure utilization. We are leaving the edges whereby we used to configure things in terms of a bulk system so that it can be able to take in more application when the customer brings in the applications. But right now, in terms of due to the more efficiency, we actually with the hyper-converged solution, we are able to give the customer a solution based on the requirement that they want, and they can be able to grow with them. They're also setting it up and letting the solution start as it. And then you're also looking at less costly. Now, looking at the total cost of ownership of building your own and just buying already an appliance. Look at it like this. If you are given two sets of keys for a car, the first set of key is a key whereby you'll need to import the engine of the car, you need to import the body of the car, you need to import all the set of requirements that you need to develop a car. And then the other set requirement is what you do is just go and purchase the car, the model with the specs that you need. So you'll find like it should be less costly if you go and purchase the car that you want, getting all these requirements in terms of the parts, everything, and getting to assemble the car. This is what I'm talking about. With cost, it depends. It all depends on the time you're going to spend there and the amount of money you're going to spend on develop the project. But with the ready appliances, this is already set up for you as per requirements, and you go ahead. So with the digital transformation, one key thing that IT transformation that we need to look at is something that is faster, simpler, more agile, more efficient, less risky, and less costly. So those are the modern pillars for data centers when it comes to hyperconverged solutions. Now, a question you need to ask your customers: where are they in terms of the digital transformation? Are they digital laggards? Are they those guys that really dismiss this talk about digital transformation? And I tell you what, anybody that will have anybody that gets such a customer, those are your key kind of customers, because those are the guys now they'll have to start when it comes to transforming most of their business. You'll need to start with them from scratch, and those are the guys that actually have very good in terms of if you're a partner, that's where you get most of your revenue when you have those kind of customers. And then there's also those digital followers, who have already started adopting, but not 100% in terms of utilization of digital transformation. Then also there's those digital evaluators, already they're there, but now they're evaluating how in case that they're comparing both the traditional system and both the digital system. Both. So just evaluating how the digital platform is doing in terms of now where are these customers? Are they digital evaluators, or are they digital adopters and digital leaders? So considering that in the market is why you can compare where your customers is based at. Now, for converged technology, we have the 5 pillars of value that it provides. So most of the things that on both the converge and hyperconverge, you realize this solution come already pre-built. So what we mean by that is the systems are engineered as one. So there's a strict combination in terms of what is being configured on the system itself. For example, if you look at the VX block solution, which is one of Dell EMC converged technology, you'll find that it's a collaboration between the UCS Cisco servers, Cisco switches, and Dell EMC network, and then the virtualization platform is the VMware. When you look at the converged technology, when it comes to the the hyperconverged technology when it comes to this, you'll find like most of the technology that you use are the Dell servers, VMware factored as one. So when it comes to getting this solution, most of them for example, for VX block, you get it from Dell EMC. For Vxrail, you also get it from DLC. So they are manufactured from the same OEM. And then they are managed as one in terms of the management platform that comes with it. They are supported as one. So like remember, I talked about the VX platform, for example, for the converged technology, where you have the UCS servers, you have the VMware as the virtualization platform, you have the storage from the Dell EMC platform. All these solutions are supported from a single vendor and are supported as one. It's not a case whereby when you have issues with the Cisco UCS servers, you have to log with Cisco. No. And when you have VMware cases with the VMware virtualization platform, you have to raise a case with VMware. No. All the one. So those are key. When it comes to the EMC, converge and have solutions. Validated solution if customer needs something like that. We also have those engineered solutions if customer needs something like that. And those will also have the hybrid cloud platform. Now, I mean by hybrid platform, it's a platform that can support both the those have flexibility, choose which kind of virtualization platform that they require, also consider which kind of network switches they require. It has some flexibility, but or converged solution that the customer might require. Now, when we started the I was talking to you about the transformation whereby business are dealing with almost of their business. So typically, most organizations have a traditional setup when it comes to their data centers. What I mean by the traditional setup is we'll have customers that are running their servers, have their own physical servers in the data center. They also have their SAN storage area network where they can have for the fiber channel switches or the optical switches, and then you also have the storage systems. This is the trend. Like you'll find all of these customers doing this. But another thing that's really affecting this trend is the intake of virtualization, whereby you realize that even though they're running physical servers, these physical servers are being virtualized so that they can be able to run more applications inside it. And then another factor that is really affecting this kind of traditional setup, we're talking about Moore's law. Now, what do I mean by Moore's law? You'll find like for every data center, you'll find that the number of processors required are getting more and more every cycle. That even the physical environment that they're having, their customers are being overwhelmed, whereby they're getting more of this physical servers and putting the data center. So you might go to a data center and find a customer having so many servers, then the resources are becoming more and more and more. And this one leads them to utilization of more power, which is also, at the end of the day, they end up spending more. And then another thing that is also affecting this traditional data center setup, we are talking about high-speed Ethernet. Now, if you realize right now we have switches that are very much high speed. You're talking about 100 GPS. So these kind of setups are really affecting because you realize most of the traditional setups, when the kind of switches you go with and the kind of servers you go with, that kind of locks you on that kind of speed bandwidth that you require. And then this is the kind of things that are really affecting the traditional data centers. And then you're talking about software-defined storage. Now, when you talk about software-defined storage, you have most of the storage systems are being virtualized and being brought as a pool. This is the key thing that's also affecting most of those traditional data center because now instead of just going to use physical storage, more things are being adopted on the vSAN. And then also introduction of flash media. Now, the reason why flash media is coming through is the latency that guys need applications to be responded to. They need a fast solution. So with the traditional to guys not be able to achieve that. With that, considering that, now this is now the reason why now the hyperconverged solution is coming in. You realize now that people are shifting from the traditional mode of setup to the hyperconverged solution. What do I mean by hyperconverged? You find for hyperconverged, all the processing power on the traditional data center, the storage and the network, all of them is being brought together as one. So we are trying to what the shift is coming from. Used to use a server separately, network separately, and storage separately. Right now, they're looking more of an appliance that has all these components and consolidated as one. And this is the shift that bring everything together. And all this comes with the virtual SAN, which I was talking about. So all the storage components is all virtualized and compressed together so that all the customer, the resources that they need can be able to access the system. And this is an easy, simple approach compared to the traditional setup where you have many silos of applications and application running on different hardware. But with hyperconverged, you bring a pool of all your resources together and be able to run all your applications on a single managed system. Now, we're trying to compare the capex and for both the data and the hyperconverged. If you look at the capex for the traditional data center, it's a bit high. A traditional data center. But with the hyperconverged, you'll realize the initial cost is a bit lower. Why do I say this? Can have an application whereby they can be able to run other applications in the future. But with hyperconverged, since they are much easy to scale and also much easy to install, you only need to start with what you require at that time, and that makes them when it comes to the capex, which is the total cost of ownership compared to what we have with the with the traditional is quite much cheaper. So drivers of adoption of hyperconverged, reason what is really driving it is because of the better business value, speed and agility, scaling easily, and operational simplicity. So those are the kind of advantages you get when it comes to hyperconverged technology. Now, remember when data center and comparing it with capex with hyperconverged data center, you'll realize now the customers save a lot when they look at the hyperconverged technology. They talk about things like no silos, so they don't have different infrastructure running different applications. They also go as to grow. So what I mean by this is the customer let's to start what the requirement. Solutions. So things about Redington or this and Redington, most of these customers can be able to adopt, but the only key thing that we will require is needs already built solution. We're talking about engineering system. So we all both have the hyperconverged solutions where they can have the Vxrail analysis, and for the enterprise where they need high scale, they can go hyperconverged rack scale system. So those are really pre-built solutions, and they're very simple to use and they're very easy to use. The customer requires, and those instances kind of product that they want to use. So for example, for the validated solution, a customer who wants to do it by himself for any size of environment, they can have maximum flexibility in terms of looking at which virtualization platform they can use. They can either go KVM, they can either use VMware, or can they also use Hyper-V. Another key thing, these validated systems are engineered validated, such that the specking on these solutions have already been done for the customer, so they don't really need to think very much. The only thing is that they need highly skilled IT staff, whereby even though this system already engineered, only when they're doing the hyperconverged, they really need to understand some of the technology that they're going to onboard on that system. And then comparing the same with already engineered system, we're talking about the Vxrail and the Vflex. So for the Vxrail instances, you have a solution for small and businesses. Another thing for the engineered system that very much easy to use. They're also low cost entry, because what I talked about, you don't have to start big. You start best value in terms of scale. So those are the kind of advantages when it comes to the engineered system that the customer might wish to be interested in. So the key thing here is Dell EMC has a flexible choice in terms of choice that the customer requires. They can either go for validated system, can either go engineered system, which is the hyperconverged appliances, and also they can either go for hyperconverged rack scale out system. They all depending on the kind of workload that they're trained to have on the systems. Now, so with this all talk about converged and hyperconverged technology. So for hyperconverged technology for today, we are going to look at the Vxrail solution. So this solution has been really being disrupted in the market. Everywhere, it's really known for all the application that people who want to be in Vxrail, they're really getting interested in. Now, Vxrail has a different workload that can be able to be supported and the use cases that customers might be interested in doing. So we are talking about virtual desktop use cases. Vxrail will actually do quite well in that. We're talking about server workloads whereby customers will want to run some of their applications on these servers. Vxrail will do quite well in that. We talk about even hybrid cloud solutions. Vxrail will do that for them. And then we are also talking about the distributed enterprise. Vxrail will actually do also that for them. So depending on what the customer requires, Vxrail can be able to match that. And some of the advantages you get from the Vxrail about multiple configuration and scale points. So with Vxrail, there's so much things you can do with it. You're talking about a disruptive software-defined scale out. So in terms of when you want to scale up or scale out, Vxrail is possible to do. There's also data efficiency. We're talking about things like data duplication, compression. All these features are inclusive on the Vxrail appliance itself. And then integrated data protection. This is one key point whereby most customers kind of always neglect. For example, data protection is a continuum. It's not, but what I mean by continuum, it has levels of different stages depending on which level, the total, the how much data you need to be able to protect. So not one solution is able to protect your data 100%. If you have data protection, what enables you to be able to protect most of the data protection. And then the advantage with Vxrail comes with the integrated data protection. So Vxrail only have a layer of data protection. So having more layers gives most customers an advantage in terms of protecting the data. And that's another key feature that you really need to point out when it comes to Vxrail positioning. So really, solution comes at very different approaches in terms of the advantages that you get from them. So we're talking about things like performance. So most of these Vxrail appliances comes with the new Intel processor, which are they call the Cascade. So what the advantages you get from that is the processors are very much high level. You get more direct IO path in terms of the communication between the processor and the memory. Full data very much flexible. Another you get is configured for any use case. So, like I said, to look at. So we have you've heard about the E series, you've heard about the P series. So different Vxrail appliances have a different kind of workload. And then another key thing is the Vxrail that comes with is the tighted integration. The reason what I'm talking about the tighted integration is the tightest integration with Vxrail with VMware. So that's another key advantage whereby you get from Vxrail. So we're going to look at how difference is hyperconverged technology from Dell EMC and the other hyperconverged technology from other vendors. How is it like the data integration is within the Dell EMC VMware, and also how this one works with the other vendors. So those are the key advantages you get with the Vxrail appliances comes to the hyperconverged solution. So earlier on, I already talked about that Vxrail has those latest Vxrail appliances that are running the Cascade processors, like I mentioned. So these are the different types of appliances that we have. We have the P series, we have the E series, we have the P series, V series, and S series. So for now, I will wish you guys ignore the G series. Kindly just focus on the E series, P series What do I mean by hybrid node? Hybrid node is, I mean, by it's an appliance that can support both the SSD drives and the spindle drives. What I mean by spindle drives are those like SAS drives or NSAS drives. So customer has a flavor of getting a hybrid solution for such a kind of environment. At the same time, we also have all flash Vxrail appliances. What I mean by that is a solution that comes with fewer SSD drives. So in a, when a customer goes for an all flash appliances, they'll have to stick. If they want to do any upgrade, they'll only get the all flash appliances. And then finally, we also have the NVMe drives, which there are some appliances that come with a fully populated with NVMe, depending on the customer use cases. So all the use cases a customer, depending on the customer environment, can be able to be achieved by the Vxrail appliances. Now, another thing that the comes in is also called the networking port. So most of these Vxrail appliances comes with the SFP or the fiber channel. So most of these latest generation Vxrail appliances are able to support fiber channel connection to external storage. Now, if you go for customer that, like I said, it all depends on the customer environment. If a customer has a very minimal requirement and they need like something that they just need a hyperconverged technology. For Vxrail appliances, we can able to support that. With that, you can be able to give them, and they don't have that network requirement in terms of the kind of switches that they have are those 1 GB network switches. With that, you can also give them the single processor Vxrail appliances, which can be able to 1 gig network port depending on the customer environment. Those are the advantages and the flexibility which the node itself can be able to provide. And then finally, the node itself also be able to support the GPU. So all this is what makes the processor, RAM, power supply, storage, network, and GPUs. If you remember the traditional data center where you had these things separately, the processor on the compute side, the storage on a different side, and then also the network separately. But with all this brought together as one. So another key thing about the Intel cascade processors, if you compare the two type of processors that used to be, so the previous generation used to be called the Broadwell processors. The Broadwell processor had like 4 channels to be able to connect to DIMMs. So you could be able to connect 5 memory DIMMs, 4 memory DIMMs to a single CPU. But the cascade processors, which are that are being used on the hyperconverged technology, we talk about 6 DIMMs being 6 channels of memory DIMMs being accessed by a single CPU. What this brings about is the caching level between the memory and the CPU is much more on the cascade processors which are being used on the Vxrail appliances compared to the other processors. The kind of advantages that you get from the Vxrail. So let's see, it's quite less when it comes to new cascade processors on the Vxrail appliances. Now, one key thing just to pick from here is this presentation, especially this slide over here. This one should be able to also help you when you're doing your configuration on your servers. Always, when you're doing a configuration for your servers, especially for all the customers, always try to do a balanced memory selection. So, for example, if you're doing a processor server for a customer that wants RAM, it's always, if you're going for the cascade processors, which are now based on most of the Intel servers that are out there, try very much to always balance the memory between the 2 CPUs. Because most cases, they say they have upgraded most of their memory, but their performance they're getting from the server is quite. The reason they're getting that is because of unbalanced memory. So this slide should actually, if you see the way the DIMM and the channels have been connected together, this one should enable you to understand when for future not for just the Vxrail appliances, but also for the server technology. This helps you to also understand the balancing of memory so that you can get a well optimized solution when it comes to the server. This slide is quite key. Now, thinking about the Vxrail generation in terms of the memory DIMMs that can support, we already look at them, which is the 16, 32 GB, 64 GB, and 128 GB. And all these are supported on both the series when it comes to the Vxrail. So we're talking about the E series, P, V, S series that can be able to support that. Now, we're going to look at the Vxrail appliances and the kind of workload that can be able to be achieved on these appliances. The kind of specification that most of these appliances come with. So for the Vxrail E560, so if you see the notation whereby somebody has written the Vxrail E560, that's a hybrid appliance. But you see a notation where it's written like Vxrail E560F, that's a Vxrail all-flash appliances. So that's the differences. So for the Vxrail E series, it comes in 2 flavors. There's the E560, which is the hybrid option, and then there's also E560F, which is the option. So the hybrid options comes with a mix of both SSD drives and the spindle drives. while the 560F, this is a pure SSD appliances. So those are the kind of differences that you get with the E-series. So I remember I told you this is based on the R640. This is a 1U server that is used for the Vxrail E560 appliances. So in terms of drive configuration, you can have up to 10 2.5-inch drives. In terms of memory, it can support up to 3 GB of memory on a single appliance. In terms of processor, there is 28 cores per single processor in total. So this kind of appliance can support up to 2 processors. You're talking about a total of 56 cores in a single appliance. So in terms of network, we are talking about it can support the 10 gig SFP plus. Also, it can also be able to support the 200 GB network connection. Comes with the boot drives, which is two 240 SSD, especially one holds the VMware EXI hypervisor. And then in terms of power supply, we're talking about the different watts that they can be able to supported by that. And now it can be able to also, in terms of capacity, we're talking about 9.2 TB hybrid node. Mount, and then you're using the all flash node, you're talking about the 76.8 TB per appliance. This gives capacity even though it's a single appliance. So that's the features that the series comes with. At the same time, the Vxrail E series also come all NVMe. So remember, you use the Vxrail E560, which is the all-flash appliance, and lastly, there is the Vxrail E560N, which is an NVMe appliance. Have the same specifications as the other what I talked about, but the only difference is that this one now supports a pure NVMe drives. Those are kind of differences that you get with the Vxrail. So this is even though remember I talked about it as an entry level, but I always consider it as an enterprise Vxrail appliance, not an entry level Vxrail appliance. So it can start small to whichever customer requirement is, but looking at the plan to do some huge enterprise capability. It's a very cheap product. So as XD. So in terms of supports up to 24 disks. In terms of capacity, similar to what we have in the P series. So we are talking about 153 3 TB of SSD and then 48 TB of NLSAS drives. Additional network option, the difference is with the other one, we only have the cards that can be able to support 10, 100, while this one comes with extra GPU cards, thus reduces the number of cards compared to the PC. So since this one supports GPU, there's some slots that are meant for the GPU. That's if you compare in terms of the network, the PCI cards are much reduced compared to the P series. This is the VDI optimized features for the V570 and the V570F. Now, if you realize the VDI V series doesn't have the NVMe option, so it only comes with the all flash and the hybrid option. And then finally, we also have the Vxrail S570, which is capacity optimized. One key thing you just need to know about this: there's no hybrid option. This is a pure. There's no all flash option or NVMe option. This is a pure hybrid solution. This is the only Vxrail appliances that you only get as a hybrid solution. Same kind of server comes with the Vxrail PowerEdge i740 server. The only difference is this one comes with the VxRail SAS drives, which are most of them are the 3.5-inch drives. So if you look at the specs, this is a 2U server. Supports up to 12 3.5-inch. If you look at the predecessors, you are looking at the V series and the P series. Most of them come with 2.5 24 drives, while this one comes with 12 3.5-inch. Capacity can be support is up to 96 GB. When you look at the memory, you're talking about 3 GB. I will look at the sockets. You can support dual socket up to a total of 56 cores. So note, E series comes both all flash and hybrid and NVMe. The P series comes both all flash, hybrid, which is the P570, and the NVMe is a P580. And so P series has both options. The EP has both all flash, hybrid, and NVMe. The V series, which is the VDI optimized solution, only comes all flash and hybrid. The S series only comes hybrid. So like I said, different Vxrail appliances have different use cases. So depending on what the customer requirement is, not one solution meets all requirements. So those are the kind of features that the S570 comes with. Now, with the appliances, there are also some basic rules that need to be followed when a customer now purchases. For you guys, for partners also, you need to get this, because when you're positioning a solution, you also need to know the kind of limitation or the kind of upgrade that are rules that are there when it comes to when you're positioning a solution to a customer. So for Vxrail scale out rules, what I mean scale out is when you're planning to scale out in terms of adding more performance capacity. All systems in the customer must run the same version of Vxrail software. So currently, most of these Vxrail software are running version 7. So before you do an upgrade, you make sure the existing setup has a Vxrail manager on version 7, so that you'll be able to do the sync and make the cluster. So all the systems in the cluster must run the same version of Vxrail software. Now, the first 3 Vxrail nodes must be identical at each time of cluster deployment. So, for example, if you are doing the customer is purchasing the solution for first time. So, for example, they went to the E560 hybrid. So, all these, the 3 appliances that the customer is buying must be the same, identical. So, if it's hybrid, will be both of them will be hybrid. Another key thing is no mixing of hybrid, all flash, or all NVMe. So what this entails is that if a customer goes hybrid, meaning it can only be able to upgrade to hybrid options. They're doing a scale out or a it will always be on a hybrid platform. If the customer went for all flash, they'll always just do all flash platform. If a customer went with the NVMe option, they will always, if they need to do a scale out, they always go with the scale out option. So there's no instance whereby a customer started with a hybrid, then says, let me add an all flash solution to my hybrid setup. They can have a cluster just to support the hybrid. If they want an all flash, they can have a different cluster to be able to start an all flash, but not working with the same cluster. So that's some of the scalar rules that you need to look at when you're positioning a customer. All systems in the cluster must run the same base network depending on which customer network the customer might have. These are 25G, 10G, 1G. So what I mean by this, so if you have those three nodes, all these nodes must have the same terms of speed. So if it's a 25 node you're going for, all the nodes will have the 25 gig ports. If it's a 1 gig, especially for the entry level I talked about, whereby if customer really wants a single processor, all the nodes that you propose to that customer must have 1 gig, and no time that you'll be able to add the 25 gig because now that won't work. The reason why that being because these solutions work as one. There's no instance whereby a single node will only be accessed by a certain application. No, an application is accessing the whole system, is accessing the whole system together. Another rule is 1GB must be hybrid system with single processor. I already talked about that. So if you want a 1GB, if a customer insists that they want to use the existing network, which is a 1GB system, so meaning that the kind of appliance that you're going to position them is a single node with a single processor, so they'll be able to support the 1GB network. I won't talk about the G series much because this is a series that's not really sold very much in the EMEA market. And then in terms of flexibility, we're looking at mix and match of Vxrail series in a cluster, varying number of CPU, memory, and model types, 3 to 64 nodes. So you can mix and match Vxrail series in a cluster. So for example, but you remember, if it's hybrid, it's only hybrid. Mix and match only the hybrid components. If it's all flash, all flash. So with that, 3 to 64 nodes per cluster, but maximum 8. So those are the kind of rules. So if you are in a Demola's presentation earlier on for the power store storage appliances that you talked about something considering scale up upgrade and a scale out upgrade. So Vxrail also has those two options. You can either go scale up or also do scale out. So what I mean by scale out, is it's more of increasing performance. So for example, if you wanted to scale up. So this one purely meant is just adding drives to the what is customer can only be customer cannot be replaced on the processor, system board, bus card. The Vxrail appliances. So we're looking at Vxrail from the Vxrail VMware software defined data center. Looking at vSAN, there's a VMware Cloud Foundation, there's a vCenter server, there's vRealize suite, and there's vSphere. So depending on the customer requirement, these are the VMware what comes with the Vxrail appliances. When it comes to the Vxrail hyperconverged software system software, you have the Vxrail manager, the Vxrail S, which is the analytical consulting. There's RESTful APIs, then there's automation and orchestration features also on the Vxrail hyperconverged software. And then when you look at remember I talked about data processing, which is a very key component when it comes to hyperconverged technology, whereby most customers always neglect that. Don't need to. This one also is integrated on the Vxrail appliance itself. So we are talking about recover point virtual machines, and also there's VMware vSphere application. So these are the everything that comes inside the Vxrail appliances when you buy appliances, if you want it inclusive inside the appliances. Now, remember we talked about, there's a part where we talked about some of the advantages, the key benefits that you get from Vxrail. And the one thing that I stated was the integration. So how is Vxrail different from other vendors when it comes to hyperconverged technology? It's simple. The best explanation is with the Vxrail and VMware to come up with a solution. So, meaning the vSAN, the virtual storage area network for on a Vxrail appliance is integrated on the hypervisor level for Vxrail solution. Meaning that, for example, if you want to have vSAN on the Vxrail, vSAN will not run on a particular virtual machine so that it can be able to pull the resources. vSAN is already on the kernel level of the hypervisor for Vxrail. Compared to the typical hyperconverged solutions in the market, what they do, they have to have a storage virtual machines which will run the vSAN. This one, what it does, it actually takes up resources. So meaning that there's a bottleneck between the virtual machines and the vSAN network. A storage virtual machine. So that's the difference between hyperconverged technology from Vxrail and hyperconverged technology from other vendors. Now, if you look at this now, this kind of infrastructure, this means that hyperconverged solution for Vxrail only works with VMware virtualization platform. So it kind of locks you on using VMware. Yes, it's kind of a disadvantage, but the kind of advantage you're getting with the solution of this is the high integration of vSAN, vSphere. So in terms of the resources that are being used, if you compare with the two, the Vxrail hyperconverged technology, it's much better compared to what you have in the typical hyperconverged solution. So the kind of advantages we're talking about is, in terms of technical advantages, we're talking about no need for installed virtual storage appliances. So have their own choice to have which kind of different to run, or which kind of hyper they want. The validated system that they want will run a typical hyperconverged solutions for them. But if they want a pure engineer which comes with integrated vSAN on the level, the Vxrail will work according to them, and the kind of advantage that they will get. So CPU utilization is less than 10, because right now the integration between the vSAN and the yeah, is one. No reserved memory required, because right now you don't need to create a virtual machine to run the virtual area network. Provide shortest path IO. Now we find that the virtual machines that are creating are directly accessing the virtual storage without any issues. And then seamless handles of VMware integration, because now right now, because you don't need you're not creating three virtual instances to keep policy. Provide technology Dell EMC, which is the DSP licensing for hyperconverged technology is optional. Customer can be able to use the vSphere licensing if they have, or the customer can to buy the vSphere license embedded on the Vxrail appliances. So Vxrail can either come with the Vxrail enterprise, or customer can be with their own licenses installed on the Vxrail appliances. So, this one just tries to explain what I was trying to say. So, Vxrail is vSphere independent. So, customer can bring your own licenses, or they can also get the appliances from the appliance installed on the appliance. So, we are which is the key critical thing that I was talking about in terms of this can be integrated inside the kernel compared to the typical hyperconverged technology. It also has different licenses done with the standard to get with that, and the Then also speed and agility. You've seen the kind of up or scaling out. And then the operational simplicity, the management of most of these Vxrail appliances is a one console, and which is makes the appliances quite easy to maintain. So with Vxrail, those are the kind of advantages you get with Vxrail appliances. Now, to the approach of delivering better results with Vxrail appliances, Dell EMC has a difference in terms of giving a customer end-to-end solution. So we're talking about a customer being able to, when it comes to hyperconverged technology, they have the option of doing what they want solution, or want an engineered solution, they have a choice of choosing. x86 can run so many applications, so it's an open standard. And then, like I already told you that for Vxrail, for hyperconverged technology from Dell EMC, it also depends on which option that the customer wants. If they want a solution that comes with VMware, they can go for the Vxrail solution. If they want an open set of mind where they can have other virtualization platforms running on their environment, they can go for the Vxrail system, which we talked about the ready appliance. So Dell EMC has that option. And then also flexibility in scaling. We talk about customer can do both scale out and scale up. So depending on what they want, it all depends. Much service and support. So remember, these solutions are engineered as one, supported as one, maintained as one. All these solutions, in case of any support that the customer wish to create a case in case they're having any problem, they can only load this from one source of support center, which is the Dell EMC, and then superior total cost of ownership. So if you compared the capex that was involved in terms of developing a traditional data center and compared to hyperconverged data center, the customer gets more total cost of ownership when it comes to hyperconverged solutions. So those are the better results that the customer achieve when it comes to hyperconverged technology. Now, speaking of that, that will be my end of my session. So one key thing I just need you guys to come up with there is hyperconverged technology is actually something that you guys really need to consider, because this is a platform that is really causing destruction in the environment. Like what I said earlier on when I was talking about the example of sleeping. The phone, like for example, take your phone. The phone has really caused so much disruption in terms of technology. When you talk about by a click of you can be able to do so many things with your phone. You can be able to request for Uber. You can be able to request for food. You can be able to access your banking application. You can be able to send in. Think of the same thing approach with the hyperconverged technology. So if users can be able to do that, remember there was something I talked about, digital transformation, which is the applications that are being developed so that it can be able to be cloud oriented and be accessed easily. And then there's workforce transformation. So if your workforce already are ahead and in terms of technology, while those digital laggards, we have not embraced this kind of digital transformation. Them out in terms of the marketplace. So this is something that you most should position to most also think about it when you're also going. I'm ending my presentation. I'll check if there's other questions are there. Mr. Harry, question trivia at the end of this session. So I didn't talk about it earlier because I felt like people will be taking screenshots of my presentation so that they can use them for answering. But I needed you two guys to be attentive. So Mr. Harry will be having a question and answer trivia, whereby if you be able to answer most of these questions correctly, you'll be able to win something. Thank you very much, guys. And have a safe week.
Yes. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Adimola. Thank you, Balaji, for conducting this wonderful presentation. And guys, this quiz will be more interactive, and every session we will be having this kind of quiz at the end of the session. So please be more concentrate on the presentation so that you guys can win an amazing gift voucher from Redington. So thank you guys. Be safe. Thank you.